Specially dedicated Hey, good evening everybody and welcome to FFA chat room. This is our new special edition where we're doing the Young Creative Spotlight, and that's about looking at new and young people involved in the creative space. Bakare, don't worry, I'm coming to you. I've seen you've joined us. Let me just do my introductions first, and I'll be bringing you on live in a few seconds. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to be straight up there with you very, very soon. So, as I was saying, we are this is a special spotlight, which we're going to be doing because we want to promote, Fashion Finance Africa is all about promoting new, young, aspiring, emerging creative. It doesn't have to necessarily be young, but people that are just coming to the industry. And we just feel that it's very important that those that are new are given a chance to be seen. So if you're young, you're new, you're doing something within the creative space, holler at us, send us a message, and we could have you on the show, get you promoted, talk about what you're doing. That's what we're all about. Anyway, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Shola Oyebade, aka Mr. Mahogany, and you're on the chat room, FFA chat room, which is a weekly interactive talk show brought to you by Fashion Finance Africa, the leading platform in Africa for new and emerging fashion designers and creatives. Just in case you didn't know, Fashion Finance is a platform that celebrates new and emerging designers, creatives. We're all about celebrating fashionpreneurs, fashionistas. Now, today's show is our very first edition of our Young Creative Spotlight, new and under 30s edition. That's right, a new edition of the show specifically set apart to celebrate the new designers and creatives on the block, the new makeup artists, fashion stylists, photographers, illustrators, models, whoever's that we feel that is doing something good within the space, that wants to get promoted. Talk to us. We'll bring you on live. That's what we're all about. And you're going to be able to talk about your businesses, the challenges, triumphs. Also get advice. You never know, I might be able to help you, or people that are watching the show also might be able to help you. So, without wasting any further time, let me bring on our guest, first ever guest on our show, Bakare Mubarak is coming on in a second, and we're very pleased to have him. I've seen him, met him. Hey, Bakare, how are you?
I'm well, sir. Good evening. I beg your pardon.
I went very traditional.
After so long.
I would have put my...
Say that again?
I said you should have told me that you're going very traditional. I would have put my own cap so that, we can be looking on par. Why is it all my guests? They always like to make me look very bad with their dressing. Why, this is your fault. I'm blaming Why for this. Probably watching me here. Let me put my headphones on to try and make it clearer for you so that you can hear me, because I think you're struggling a little bit to hear me. So let me just
do that. I actually can't see myself, unfortunately.
It might be, sorry, we go through this over and over again with internet connection, but so long as we can hear you, you'll be amazed that some people can see you as well. So don't worry about that. If we can hear you, by the time we do the video later, I don't know how it happens, but by magic, you can see everybody. Wari, guest out there, if you can see Mubarak, please let him know that you can see him so that he feels very confident that he's being seen. Okay. As I like to do always, I like to introduce my guests. So before we get into our questions, let me introduce. Yes, they said they can see you. So Mubarak, Bakare, they said you can see you very, very, very well. Okay. So by introduction, Bakare Mubarak is a young model whose height is 6'8". So it makes me look like a shorty, 6'8". which has bagged in the title, the tallest model in Sub-Saharan Africa. Yes, ladies, 6'8". Oh. So if you're 5'5", hey, if you go near him, oh my God, you will look like a small little child. Anyway, this hardworking young man who has a humble personality has carved a niche for himself in the fashion industry as a model that aims to shine the light on the African culture. Bakare has worked with brands like Glow, Go Nigeria, Zenith Bank, Fashion TV, and so many more. So guys, please welcome Bakare Mubarak to the very first special edition for young creatives. So you're very welcome. How are you?
I am very well, sir. I am fine, sir. I must confess, I am overwhelmed and I am pretty much humbled. You know, being the very first person, I think it's a great privilege for me to be on this platform. You know, to talk on behalf, because I believe I am definitely talking on behalf of the youth. So it is of utmost pleasure for me, I must say, sir. Thank you so much for giving me this utmost privilege, sir.
Well, you're very, very welcome. I mean, it's something that we try to do as much as possible. You know, we want to promote everybody that's out there, use those that are struggling to get it. So we make it very clear we're not about the celebrities, we're not about those that are the super end designers or all that sort of stuff or creatives. We're about trying to find a space for people that need a promotion and get themselves out there. I remember when you came to Fashion's Finest Africa Epic Show, yeah, and I saw you. I had to think to myself, okay, Shola, this guy is tall, you know, and that don't go about saying that you are tall anymore. Me, that I'm a small little 6 foot, whatever. I used to say, okay, I don't tall small. Now, when I go anywhere near, I'm a midget. That's it. I feel like a midget. So your height is something that has set you apart from a lot of people. And I'm sure that as you walk around the streets, people even stare at you because I know how people are. They look at you and think, Jesus. Okay. This guy has just blocked out the sun, you know. So has it been something that you've always embraced? Has it been difficult to embrace? How have you coped with it? Has it been hard at times? You know, have you felt a burden? How do you feel about it and how have you dealt with it?
Well, I must confess, at some point in time when I was growing up, it was, in fact, at times when people tell me, oh, you're really tall, I was talking about when I was 15, they're about 14, 15, I was about the tallest amongst my peer back then in school. And people always go like, oh, you are really tall. Oh, you are tall this, you are tall that. But then honestly, I do not even realize it at that point in time. So whenever I take pictures with paired, you know, my mates, and I tend to realize that I am really tall indeed. You know, or probably when I see tall people, people I feel I regard as tall, you know, come closer to me, I notice I tend to dwarf them. So I started getting to understand that, oh, truly, I am a very tall person. And then every other time I walk on, oh, pardon me.
That's okay. Don't worry, these things happen.
So every other time I walk on the streets, I can say categorically that 50% of the people on the street are staring at me. So that gives me that impression that I am actually tall. And then over time, it was this. Then I was bullied in school. I went to a boarding school, and I could remember this very senior. I wouldn't want to mention his name actually, but then Watson is always going to tell me not to. Whenever he's talking to me, I should not be taller than he is. He's always giving me that. So I was actually practically bullied because of my height. But then, as it is right now, I must confess, and no braggadocio, being this tall is one of the greatest feelings in the world, I would say. I've said this quite a number of times, you know.
Why is it a great feeling? Explain to us what's so fantastic about it. Why have you now been able to embrace it?
Well, first things first, I started seeing it as a blessing, you know, rather than a curse, because then
that's right.
I feel it is it is priceless to be standing out amidst 5,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's priceless. I feel that is uniqueness. I think that is it was favoritism for me, you know, from God, you know, for making me supersized. So trust me, I have always positioned my mind to see the good part of it. I mean, the positive part of it. You know, the privilege, and the more reason why I have been able to leverage on that unique stature and that unique personality to promote the African culture whilst incorporating fashion, art, and ecotourism. So, because then I feel the need not to just be different when it comes to just physique. You know, because then I go like, oh, I am tall. What else? I don't want to be just tall. You know, I don't want to be just, I need to be tall intrinsically. I need to be tall on the inside. I need to be tall metaphysically. I need to be tall in not just being physical. So, you know, yeah. So I think I have been able to see the positive side alone. So I probably turn a deaf ear or blind eyes to whatever the negative could be or might be.
I mean, I mean, what I like about what you've been able to do by embracing it is that I've worked with models for over 25 years, and particularly with the women, they find it very difficult to embrace their height. So you'll see them when they're with their short friends, they'll be slouching. They'll be trying to come down in height and stuff like that. And they bring it into the modeling business. And what I always used to tell them is that, listen, it's not your fault that they are short. Don't look on it that you are tall. Look on it that they are short. And that's not your fault. Be tall. Embrace your height. That is what makes you a model. That's what makes you good. That's what makes you stand out in life. And the thing about things is about standing out in life. And, you know, you have to go through that psychological thing of talking to them and teaching them. And the moment they start to do it, you actually see their body posture changes because they now walk tall. They embrace it. They go into a room. You know, like you see them. A classic example, I mean, you won't have it as a man, but the women tend to wear short heels or flats because they're trying to be shorter. And I say that actually takes away from your elegance. So when looking at somebody like you, I'm sure everybody will be expecting me to say this. So this is a cliche question, yes, that we have to ask because our viewers would expect that we will ask it. One would have thought that standard, you'll be a basketball player. So why did you choose fashion and modeling as opposed to somebody grabbing you and say, why are you not playing basketball? Come and join the Nigerian basketball team, or let's carry you to the NBA. What happened?
Well, permit me to say this. Personally, I think it is very stereotypic to always think that.
I said it's a cliche question.
to always think that every tall black boy must play basketball. I believe strongly, sir, that we can be legendary, we can be iconic doing other things. We can set standards. I've always believed that human beings are demigods in the sense that we can create standards. So I don't totally believe so much in standards. Trust me, I know for a fact that when we're talking about runway modeling and whatnot, we have high standards and whatnot globally. But then I don't believe in standards so much that I compel myself to them. I believe humans sets the standard. We can set new standards. So in a nutshell, I feel that what really brought about that deviation or that supposed deviation is the fact that I feel we can be iconic doing greater things, doing other things. So I felt the more reason why I have the drive to promote the African culture, because then I feel that I am a model, and if modeling is promoting brand products and brands themselves and upholding these brands and brand products, why can't we channel about the same energy into promoting our own culture,
Okay.
promoting our own art, into promoting our own tourism. Sometime
Mm-hmm.
late 2018, I read an article on China dailies. China dailies just stressed on the fact that Africans are sleeping on our tourism potentials
Right.
and culture. And I, for a person, believe strongly, sir,
Mm-hmm.
that our culture is a base of the economy. I'll explain that, sir.
Okay, please do.
For instance, let's say in an Islamic society, you
Mm-hmm.
cannot decide to sell pork. You go bankrupt. Nobody buys because it
Yes.
is not in the Islamic culture to eat
Mm-hmm.
pork. You would not sell bikinis on a desert.
Mm-hmm.
So go this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So invariably, our culture, what we eat, what we wear, what we drink, what we, the kind of song we listen to, the kind of, all these things have a ripple effect on economy.
Mm-hmm.
And in recent time, I'm about to publish a particular, uh, a particular article about Ashoke.
Okay.
Ashoke regarded, for a fact, Ashoke is regarded the actual denim. That is
Mm-hmm.
the original. But then every other denim is more like a copy of Ashoke. So what I'm trying to do with that article is positioning that article, positioning Ashoke,
Mm-hmm.
bringing about uh, like a reincarnation or restoration of the lost glory of Ashoke. If every single individual in Nigeria has
Mm-hmm.
at least one denim in their houses, if we can channel the same energy into acquiring Ashoke, which is the actual denim that we have been indoctrinated to forget, if we can begin to collect the same Ashoke in place
Mm-hmm.
of the denim, it has a very huge ripple effect on our economy.
Okay, I'm going to talk about African culture because that's a big part of what I want to talk to you about. What I want to just do first is we will get there, but I want to just take you back a bit, yeah, so that people have a flow. They see your history and they see how you have developed from one stage to the next stage. Because the young people that are listening here and people that will watch it later, they want to understand people's journey. They don't want to know that you're at your destination. They want to know, how did you travel to your destination? Was it straight? Did you go left? Did you go right? Did you have to come back, start again? So when we're looking at your modeling industry, I'm going back to your height again. Yes? At what
Sir.
point did you decide, yes, that you could leverage your height and your looks as a model into making your mark in the world? All right. So I'm still looking at your height. I'm looking at your looks. I'm saying to myself, okay, I've got out of secondary school. I've got finished with bullying. I've done whatever I've had to do. How do I make my mark? How can I use it as an advantage? So what point did that come about?
Well, trust me, sir. If I'm not mistaken, ever since I was a kid, as a
Mm-hmm.
kid, I've always, when you ask me, oh, what would you want to be your occupation and this and that, I'm always going to be like, I want to be a theater artist or I want
Okay.
to be an accountant. I could remember vividly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was inborn. I'll say it was innate,
Mm-hmm.
you know, being in front of the camera. But then
Mm-hmm.
the very first time I had the opportunity to be in front of the camera was uh, in 2010, 11 thereabouts. I was
Okay.
just 15.
Mm-hmm.
That was when I took a role in The Red House 7, a film
Mm-hmm.
directed by Olufemi Ogunsanwo and Udoka Onyeka. And this same film was that was like the very first film Uncle Deyemi Okonlawon took a role in.
Okay.
So we were together on set.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, a part of the film was shot in my school at the time, FGC learning, and I was casted. Fortunately, I auditioned and then I was casted to be amongst the, according to the name of the film, the Red House Seven. So I was
Mm-hmm.
casted amongst the seven boys. So the storyline of the film was about seven boys who were
Mm-hmm.
in the boarding house. So it was like a
Right.
boarding house experience,
Mm-hmm.
an African boarding house experience, strictly. So I was one of the seven boys. That's like one of the major roles that apparent.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I really performed well. I took the role I played was Stokes in that
Mm-hmm.
film. That was 2010, 11 thereabouts, and I really delivered just perfectly. At that point in time, it became clearer, that I feel comfortable in front of the camera, and that's like
Mm-hmm.
one of the things on the scale of, would I say, or on the priority scale, that's one of those things to consider when trying to chase a career in modeling and whatnot. So that was how it started. And then in 2015, I was in university already at that point in time in 2015, and I was in my third year. In fact, I was in my third year, and then I had the opportunity to represent my mom's local government in Kwara. My mom is from Kwara State, Ifelodun local
Mm-hmm.
government. So I had the opportunity to represent my mom's local government to
Mm-hmm.
participate in the pageantry, in the state pageantry. That's the Mr. and Miss Kwara International
Okay.
2015-16.
Mm-hmm.
That was how I started off officially, because then I was groomed as a model and as a pageant king
Okay.
simultaneously. That was
Wow.
how I came to it. Then I have always had this phrase. I say, you create your own sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I also say that I do not have a caution to optimism. Invariably, I do not have a fear of heights. I go as far as I could. I believe, like I said, that drives me. When I said every human is a demigod, invariably we can create opportunities for ourselves. So that was when I felt the need to be different, not just, I don't want to limit the difference to
Mm-hmm.
just the height, just my physique. I felt I needed to be different in all ramifications, and I needed to be an exemplary figure. I needed to be a role model, you know.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
right, go ahead, sir.
That, that, that no that's fantastic. I'm hoping that people are learning from this because you are an inspiration to others, and we want young people to realize that it's not just about those that are at the top, that people can make it. So, okay, looking aside from your modeling, what other things do you do? What are the things that you're involved in?
Well, like I said earlier, I basically, in summary, the summary of what I do is that I have been able to leverage on my unique status to promote the African culture
Okay.
whilst incorporating art,
Mm-hmm.
ecotourism, and lifestyle, fashion,
Okay.
and ultimately also leveraging uh, on that status, to propagate my message of peace, unity, and solidarity amongst Africans, not just continental Africans, but then continental Africans and Africans in the diaspora. So I am a very big advocate of the Africans in the diaspora bringing about more progress to
Mm-hmm.
Africa. Yes, then I did quite a lot of research on the fiascos we have in Africa, on the issues we have in Africa, because
Mm-hmm.
I am of the opinion that the younger generations coming should not experience the hardship we as youths are currently experiencing. So I looked critically into this issue, and I feel one of the way out of the problem is to begin to have, make the Africans in the diaspora see the reason to come do good things here. That's the truth, because based on my findings and my research and whatnot, I got to realize that the Africans that live outside, the group of Africans that actually live outside of, I mean, the largest group of Africans that live outside of the African continent are Africans in the in the Americas. And then, fortunately enough, this set of people have this group of blacks that has the highest disposable income in the world. Now, this means that if our economy must, I don't know how to say this, if our economy must make more sense, because the truth of the matter, that was the more reason why I talked about economy the other time, being the base, culture being the base of the economy, because economy is power, so it is very, very pathetic that Africa having about 36% of the global economy is just 1% of the, having 36% of the world's population, I beg your pardon, as just 1% of the world's economy. This is very woeful. So invariably, we need to begin to, we need to make Africans in the diaspora see the reason to come back home to invest.
Okay, so let's just pick up on that a bit. Okay, it sounds very nice, very idealistic, a little bit political, yeah. But within the fashion and the creative space that we're in, what is it that you can teach people? What advice can you give people that they can learn from with what you're trying to do? Because the young people that are listening to this, whether most of them may be based in Africa, but in their minds, they're thinking, hey, we are in Africa, we need jobs, we need food, we want work, we want to appear as an actor, we want to appear as a model, we want to appear as a stylist or a makeup artist, yes? Here you are, Bakare, talking about abroad, but you are based in Nigeria. How do you tie the two things together? What do people need to learn from what you're trying to do that can make it work for those that are also based in Nigeria, not just those that are based abroad?
Now, if you were following me perfectly, sir, I was talking about attracting these people. Okay. This would bring about wealth to the motherland. If I'm making any sense, this would bring.
No, I understand what you're saying. Don't worry, my job is to challenge you. It's not that I don't understand you. My job is to challenge you.
Understandable. So, talking about fashion, sir, I think there's a misappropriation when it comes to fashion, mainstream fashion amongst the youth of nowadays, not taking into consideration our own humid weather, in this part of the world. We have been so bamboozled to the fact that we tend to just want to wear whatever they wear in the Western world. We want to even look like the Westerners. I don't want to go so much into that. What brought about those things, but that is the truth. That is what it is. And then we need to begin to channel our energy into acting Africa. Okay. This is me wearing. This is me wearing a Nigerian-made a kaftan. A local designer must have sold this. A local designer did this. This have ripple effect on the economy.
So if I'm getting you right with how you think, that means if someone said to you that they want to bring Vogue Africa to Africa, would you object it? Would you object to it because it's bringing the West here, or would you embrace it? And for whichever is your answer, why?
Well, but the truth of the matter is that there's nothing wrong in having having a simultaneous equation. You know, when I mean simultaneous equation, you know, mixing up the Western, a bit like a feel of infusing the African style with the Western style. There's nothing bad about that. So I'd embrace that. But then what I preach in a nutshell is reacting the African way, more we embracing our culture, because in honesty, this have a ripple effect on our economy. So if I decide to have more peace or more of this peace, the more the local designer earn. So if you are collecting one of this, and I am collecting one of this every other month or every other 2 months, it has a ripple effect on the economy. And as it is right now, talking about the Ashoki, I gave an explanation while I was talking the other time. I talked about Ashoki being the original denim. That's an indigenous African fabric, hand woven. So that means that we are creating employment if we begin to collect Ashoki as much as we collect the regular denims that we wear. Because I know for a fact that everybody watching will bear me witness that every single person in every single household has at least one denim, one jeans, you know. So if we decide to channel the same energy into getting one piece of Ashoki, at least, you know what that means to our economy. So I think I would advise that it's what I do. You know, I wear a lot of African prints. I wear a lot of adire. I wear kembe. I wear wondo. I wear you know, in fact I have a brand where I make it's called Movies Clothia. I make accessories, you know, African paraphernalia, where we customize African inspired and crafted bracelets, you know, and a couple other things like rings, you know, print on shirts, appies, you know, African inspired appies and whatnot. So in a nutshell, I would encourage us to begin to, you know, to hone our own culture. There's a saying in Chinese, I can't, in Mandarin, you know, Chinese, basically. As we embrace technological advancement, we should embrace our culture as much. The Chinese, they do not joke with their culture, never. Don't joke.
I mean, it's very clear to see that you are very big on culture. There's no doubt about that. And you're big on pushing African culture globally. I mean, and the beauty about what you're doing is that we appreciate it. My job, like I said, I'm going to challenge you because people that are listening, they want to know, they want to understand where you're coming from. There's no criticism. There's nothing like that. It's just that the youngsters that are thinking of what can they do, they might want to take it on board. And I know that you are a cultural ambassador for the Nikkei Arts Gallery. Yes, if I'm right. So why are you so passionate about African culture? Because when you look at our youth today, it's like, please give me my Gucci, give me my Armani, give me my. Do you understand? Yves Saint Laurent. Even if it's not that, even when they're looking at the designers, you know, with a certain named Nigerian and African designers that they want to go to, but not necessarily do those designers concentrate or promote African culture. So how come a young guy like you is so into your culture?
I must confess, like I said, I looked critically into the fiascos we have in Africa as Africa. It is disheartening that if only we know the essence, because the truth is that I'll say that our culture and our history is like a compass. So what happens if someone lost his compass? A person is lost eternally. And that's one of the issues. You know, I was a panelist at the African Air Beauty Summit. African Air Beauty Summit, yes. And it was a privilege for me to be as a panelist. And then when I was talking, I stressed on the fact that I think that it is a little bit of ignorance that makes people want to, not carry their own air, carrying some other people's air.
Wow. Ladies, do we agree with him? Do we agree with what he's saying? Please, we want your comments here.
Africans trying to bleach our skin. If only we understand that this skin that we bear has the highest pigmentation of all skins on the entire cosmopolitan. And that, I am not trying to be racist. I am a very strong anti-racist, and I have quite a number of, white friends who
black does not crack.
Absolutely. So our skin has it's about the best skin in the world. I repeat, it's about the best skin. It is the best skin on the entire world, like on the entire planet Earth. It is, no doubt. So in a nutshell, how would you, if only you understand that this skin is the best skin you can have as a human on the entire planet, why would you want to bleach it off? Why would you want to peel off that skin and leave the one behind? That's inferior. That's like, it is bizarre. It's absurd.
I think another way to put it, guys that are listening, is like owning a Rolls Royce and trying to make it become a Toyota. You don't do that. That's basically what he's saying.
This skin makes us have it positions us as the group of human with the highest adaptability rate on the planet. So I was able to look critically into this thing. We paved the streets of the Western world. We did, no doubt. I don't want to go so deep into history, but then we did. So it was World Chocolate Day some time ago, and then I was having a conversation with a friend who's a white person, and then in 2019, he sent me chocolates on World Chocolate Day, and then we were talking about that experience and whatnot, and then we were talking about how cheap chocolates seem to be in the Western world. Guess what? If you have to get very wonderful chocolates here in Nigeria, you spend a lot of money. It is expensive.
That's right.
It's expensive. Guess what? Cocoa is made in Africa. It is
and we export it. That is our chocolate they use. You're right.
It is a shame on us.
That's right.
Another thing. So sometime 2 weeks ago on Twitter, I saw a lady that actually passed IELTS exams, and she was jubilating. I smiled, and I said that it is very pathetic that we have been.
Some people may not know what that exam is, so just give us
this exams they're more like test of English exams for foreign languages, like the TOEFL. That's even the name, test of English for foreign language. I think test of English for foreign languages. Yeah. So in a nutshell, Nigeria is an Anglophone country. I have been speaking English since I don't even know since I've been in my mom's tummy, And then you ask me, all because I want to go come study in your country. We are Commonwealth countries. You know, invariably, all because I want to study in your country, you ask me to go through a text of English that I have been speaking ever since I've been born. It is absurd. Very much absurd.
So
This is
Beskipreneur says this Bakare na beasto. He can die for African fashion like Jesus died for sinners. So I think people that know you know that you're definitely very much into the African fashion and the culture and promoting us as a continent. But
Well,
please,
I
anybody that's
have a
out there,
little
please, if you have
constraint.
questions.
Came in and it disrupted the audio.
Okay. Did you hear what Beskipreneur said? He just basically said that that this Bakare na beasto, he can die for African fashion.
Can I
Like,
go off and come back because I
no
have
problem.
a very huge constraint with the audio now because a call disrupted the audio. Can I just?
Okay, no problem. Come back in
Okay,
again.
thank you so
All
much.
right. Okay, guys. So we're continuing with Bakare. He's just gonna come and log back in again. Please, if you got questions for him, we've got about another few minutes left, about another 10 minutes or so. So please, if you got any questions for him, let us know. This program is about promoting young people within the creative space, and it's anything. It's not just about fashion. It's music, it's entertainment, it's poetry, it's stylist, it's makeup, it's hair, it's video edit. You know, anything that is within this creative space that we're involved in. So if you got young people that are out there under 30s that you would think would be good to come onto this show, that you would like to promote them, get them to talk to them about their business, and they're ready to answer questions from me, because I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to delve into your business, and you think that these people can give something back to society, to young people that they can learn from as well, please send us a message, holler at us, and we will check them out. And if we think they're great enough, we'll bring them on, because we're about promoting new and young aspiring people. So we're trying to get people to Bakare, welcome back. We've got about another 16 minutes or so. So we're trying to get people to send in some questions. But whilst we're waiting for some of the questions to come in, people like Unique Imose says, passion for Africa when they're talking about you. Wire says, she's talking about agreeing with you that we have Coco here as well. She said Wire also said you are internally lost without culture and history, which I definitely agree with. I mean, it was one of the things that I suffered growing up abroad. I never knew anything about African history. Nothing at all, you know. So it was only when I came home that I learned some things. But let's delve into some of the other things I want. While we're waiting for questions to come in, Cardi Slim says Mubarak is a great man who is madly in love with culture. Keep it up, man. I'm truly proud of you. So, in terms of finances, what has it been like for a young creative like yourself in the industry? How have you been able to manage financially? How do you attract money? Because you move around, you do a lot of campaigns. I saw you did a campaign for Mask Up Nigeria and Mask Up Africa. You speak about different United Nations days. Are you paid to do all of that? Or is it coming from your own pocket? How do you manage financially? What are the struggles? What are the sort of advice that you can give people about managing their finances and how they will cope?
Well, when talking about managing finances, I must say that there's a misconception, which is people always thinking it's about how much you earn.
True.
But then I'll
True.
say that it's not totally about how much you earn. It's about how you are able to utilize the little you earn, and how you are able to take out a tiny bit and put it into savings. So now talking about finances and whatnot, I'll go quickly. There's a saying that the moment a human being would never, ever be done with financial constraints, in the sense that you can never have all the resources you need to do all you need to do. So I think every youth, every young person should have this at the back of their mind and not overwork themselves or overstress themselves or overwhelm themselves with that thinking of, oh, I don't have money, I am broke. That's the truth. No matter how rich you are, you will not have all the resources you need to do all you need to do. There will always, as a human, as far as you're still a human, there will always be financial constraints. Now, talking about how I have been able to get a little bit of cash flow, and I would say this first off: we are on the poverty index. The more reason why I keep stressing on economy. The truth is, we are a poor set of people. I'm sorry to say this, and I'm not trying to be derogatory about it, but then Africa is 1% of the world's economy. So I laugh so hard at the ignorance of young people trying to shame some other young people that they are poor. We are a poor set of people in Nigeria. We are number one on the index as of very early this year. Number one on the poverty index. And guess what, sir? In less than 5 years, the African youth will be first on the index of the youth population in the world.
That's right.
So remain ignorant. No, we do not want to. I do not want to remain ignorant. So in a notch, okay, I was having the same conversation with somebody, and he was like, "Why would you say all Nigerians are poor? Where is Dangote? Where is this?" Where? I said, "Okay, fine."
There are exceptions.
I said that if you have a Rolls Royce, today, you would go on those bad roads, you know? He said, yes. I said, then you live a poor life.
Poor. That's right.
Can you this is 21st century. You get this gen running. You don't have constant electricity. That is poor standard of living. And I asked this same person, I said, tell me, who's the person who bought a car most recently? The person said his dad. I said, oh, fantastic. I said, this car your dad bought, did you remove the plastics on the body, or the nylon, as we call it in Nigeria? Do you remove the plastics when you brought it home? He said, how do I mean? I said, was this car brand new? He said no, and I laughed. He was dumbfounded. I said, that is poverty. These cars were shipped to us after being used by some other people. I know quite a number of people that ship cars that's been bashed, you know, terribly.
Yes, accident cars.
Down to, and then they'd be like, oh, this car is dope. We're going to beat it, and then it's going to be nice. Truly, they will do that. They'll beat it, you know, repaint it and whatnot. That is poor living. Poor living. So we are a poor set of people as far as African is concerned. And then we need to channel, as youths, we need to begin to channel our energies to the right things. I think we have misplaced priorities as youths. African youths are sleeping. We are sleeping, I must confess. So we need to channel our energy into the right things that would begin to raise our economy, that would begin to make us have a higher standard of living, you know.
This is definitely a good debate for another day, which I would love to take on with you. I would have really gone into some serious things, but as we're not a political talk show, I kind of have to bring it back a little bit. 3 words. Describe your brand in 3 words.
Okay, I would like to say that I am a contemporary African man.
Contemporary African man.
Right. And in few years to come, sir, I would really love to be one of the names that comes to mind wherever and whenever Africa is mentioned. I know that is big, that is huge, that seems unattainable, but then it is very attainable, I
It's
believe.
very attainable. I always say to my people that I said there's no magic in small dreams. If you dream small, you will be small. If you think big, you will be big. It's as simple as that. My final question to you, I don't know if we'll be able to get some questions from people that are there before we finish, but what advice, okay, would you give to young creators out there like yourself that are starting out and are probably facing the same challenges that you are facing or have faced? Tell them, give them some advice, speak some truths to them.
Quickly, sir, just before Instagram does this thing, logs us out, I would say that, well, there's a lot of things to say, but let me just say something, at least. I would say that there's a saying that I am peculiar to, which is that the greatness of an oak tree is embedded in the little seed.
Wow.
I
Okay.
would love young people like myself to begin to see themselves like what they want to be, to begin to position themselves, like to believe in themselves, that what they want is embedded in them. So invariably, it just takes time. It takes processing. So if a woman conceives today, it takes 9 months to actually deliver that kid. So I think it's just about timing. So you shouldn't spoil yourself as a youth, all in the name of whatever. You shouldn't. You have the capacity to define yourself as a human. You alone has that capacity. No one can define you. And then I think I would want to say this. I won't forgive myself if I do not say this. I think every youth should work towards attaining a level where you don't think too much or you don't allow external influences affect your thinking.
Okay.
One thing, I believe that the sum total of a man's life is his own thought process, his mind. So you shouldn't, the moment you allow too much external influences, external fear and whatnot to affect your mind, you wouldn't do the right thing as a human. So I think I call it a very dangerous level of freedom. So every youth must attain that dangerous level of freedom. So we need to believe in ourselves. That's like all I've been saying in parable. That's the meaning. Believe in oneself. Believe in.
I mean,
because just you said, sir. We should not. I can't remember how you said it exactly, but then you were saying that we should not underestimate the power of little dreams. So whatever we can think, we should believe when we walk towards these things, it will happen. Like I said, humans are demigods. We are demigods. We don't need no herbalist. We don't need no pastor. We don't need no malam to begin to tell us, oh, you can do this before we believe we can do it. So we should believe in ourselves.
I agree with you. I mean, Mubarak Bakare. Which one is your first name, by the way?
My first name is Mubarak.
Mubarak. Okay. They wrote it for me around the other way. I had a feeling it was Mubarak. But what I wanted to say is that it's been great having you on as a guest. You are a pioneer guest for the youth out there, because you're our first young creative that we brought on for this particular show. It's been very, very insightful. Even me now, I'm feeling that okay, I need to be more culturally inclined, because there's a lot of things that you spoke about what happens in the diaspora. I lived there for many, many years. I know what I went through there. And when I come back and I hear the young guys saying, "Oh, I want to go abroad. I want to go do this," I say, guys, it's only when you get there you will understand how, even with all of our poverty, with all of our stress, that Nigeria is a blessing. You know, but people don't understand it because they're here and they just see Hollywood and TV and all that sort of stuff. They don't know what people are going through. It's been amazing having you as a guest. I thank you so much. It's been very insightful. I'm sure Wari will bring you back on again, and I'd love to tackle you in depth around your politics. You know, get into that real African culture thing. But as the tallest model in Sub-Saharan Africa, as a person that is fighting for the youths, for African culture, for pushing creatives out there, we really appreciate you. Guys, please send your thumbs up, love hearts, as you can see, appreciate him as we say goodnight to him, and we thank him for coming on board. Bart, thank you so much.
Thank you so
We'll
much,
talk to
sir.
you again soon. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Take care now.
Appreciate it.
All right. Wow, that has been very insightful. I mean, I think one of the beautiful on our show is that they give a completely different perspective because they tell you the struggles that they're going through. They tell you what it's like. They tell you how it's going to get there. Some of the other people we bring on are people that have made it, because I think you need to get both sides of the story. Those that are up and coming. So because a lot of you are up and coming. So when you hear somebody else's story, it might give you that inspiration, might make you feel that you're not alone. You're not the only one that's going through those kind of troubles and stress and so on and so forth. So we're going to keep doing this. Yes, it's going to be called our Young Creative Spotlight. So as you know, we have FFA chat room, Young Creative Spotlight. We have our lifestyle editions where we bring in all the celebrities and superstars and we tackle them about the intimate parts of their life. So Debbie of Lagos, you're coming when we are going. Anyway, hi love, how are you doing? It's so good having all of you here. Everybody, we will be back again next week with Mahogany International. Got a great guest coming up next week on Tuesday at 8 o'clock. And of course, FFA chat room is back again on Thursday at 8 o'clock. Everybody, please stay safe. Remember, COVID is real. It hasn't gone. You know, aspire for your dreams. Go for what you want to achieve in life. Nothing can hold you back, guys. We're here for you. Be good, stay safe, and we'll talk to you again soon.